Hey, what's going on? APUSH people, we're back with another good video. This one is video 52, the Korean War. This is part of Key Concept 8.1, Roman numeral 1, letter B. In this video, we'll cover everything you need to know about the Korean War to succeed in APUSH. Before we begin, I got to give a shout out to Mr. Siegel's class. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. Best of luck to you all this year. You're going to do awesome. You're brilliant and will do great. All right, so let's start with some events prior to the Korean War to understand what is going on in the world at the time. Well, Korea was divided at the 38th parallel, and this was divided at the Potsdam Conference in 1945. You see pictured here Truman, Stalin, and they were part of the Potsdam Conference that divided Korea. North Korea was communist and led by Kim Il-sung, and the South was non-communist, led by Syngman Rhee. So you can figure out who the U.S. is going to support and who the Soviet Union will support based on their style of government. Now, Executive Order 9981 in 1948, prior to the Korean War, was issued by President Harry Truman, and this desegregated the military. We'll talk more about this when we get to the civil rights videos, but this was important in that desegregated the military. In 1949, we have the fall of China, in which China became communist and Truman was blamed. So this is kind of lingering in the background, the idea that a country became communist and the U.S. is going to try to make sure that no other countries become communist. And the Cold War was in full effect, and the U.S. was following that policy of containment popularized by George Kennan. Now let's go to fighting during the war. In June 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea, and they took over almost all of the Korean peninsula. Truman saw this invasion as an act by the Soviet Union, and he wanted to stop it. So the U.S. is drastically going to increase its military size and spending, and this was done through NSC 68, or National Security Council 68. This was a memo that said the U.S. should increase its spending to fight communism. So fighting during the war, North Korea was pushed back beyond the 38th parallel after a little while, and China intervened on November 25th on behalf of North Korea. They will naturally want to defend North Korea since both countries are communist. General MacArthur, the famed general from World War II in the Pacific Theater, was in charge of the Korean War, and he wanted to fight a large-scale war and attack the Chinese. He also wanted to use nuclear weapons. Truman was resistant to this, and MacArthur will criticize Truman's plans, ending up with Truman firing MacArthur. So the end of the war will occur in July of 1953 under President Eisenhower, and he will agree to a division of North Korea at the 38th parallel. So back to the same division that was at the start of the war. And there will be a demilitarized zone, or an area without military. 36,940 Americans were killed, 103,284 Americans were wounded. Millions of Chinese and North Koreans were killed and wounded during this war, and there were many POWs, or prisoners of war. By the end of the war, almost all African Americans fought an integrated unit. This will be the first war that is fought with integrated, not desegregated units. So some impacts of the war you should be familiar with. Tensions will increase between the U.S. and China. Defense spending will increase drastically. Again, that's going back to NSC 68. Make sure you know that going forward, the U.S. is really going to spend a lot of money on its defense industry, which will lead Eisenhower to warn of this military-industrial complex, which we'll talk about in a future video. New industries will develop in the Sun Belt, and the Sun Belt is a super important area you should know. This is in the South, where it's warmer in America, and new industries will flourish down there. Presidential wartime powers will increase, as we see during virtually all wars. The power of the president will increase. Truman will intervene without a declaration of war from Congress, and this will be a common theme in future wars, that there will not be declarations of war from Congress. In fact, the last time the U.S. actually declared war was World War II. And then, as we'll see, the U.S. will continue to engage in conflicts to promote containment. All right, quick recap for this video. Know the fall of China and the influence it had on trying to prevent other countries from becoming communist. Korea was divided at the 38th parallel. Executive Order 9981 desegregated the military. NSC 68 drastically increased the spending of the federal government on the military. End of the war, has the same boundaries of the 38th parallel as the beginning of the war, an increase in defense spending and power of the executive branch. All right, guys, look forward to see you back here for video number 53. Thanks for watching. Best of luck on all your exams this year. I appreciate your support. If you found this video helpful, please share with a friend. Thanks for watching and have a good day.